Well, I once had asthma, and I cured it. I must tell you about it. People cure asthma with this, for sure, and allergies. And some asthma is an allergic reaction, of course. I'm sure you probably know that if you're an asthma sufferer. Anyway, before I launch into anything, I'm assuming that you've done lesson number 1. Because if you haven't done lesson number 1, what I'm going to say here isn't going to do you much good, and you're not going to know what I'm talking about. You see, we cure lethal, incurable diseases, like cancer. So, I know asthma is a potentially lethal disease and incurable. And that's what we're going to do with you. We're going to show you how to actually cure it so you don't have it anymore. Which is very strange. And that's the other thing that you're going to have to get used to with this, is that what you're dealing with here is a completely alien reality. I mean, let's say you have an asthmatic child and you're worried to death that this child is going to die during an asthma attack, and I'm talking to you about curing it, and you just, if you haven't turned the movie off already, you're like thinking about it, and just to stick with whatever the medication you're using is, and your kid can take the medication as long as he or she needs to. Your doctor will tell you when the disease is gone, and it will be gone, just like Charles Smith's cancer was gone, and his doctor told him, "Gee, you don't have cancer anymore." And that was after the last drug failed, and they arranged hospice care for him. They gave him 3 months to live. So this is where the rubber meets the road, guys. We play hardball here. And that's a pretty alien reality to most people, because when they think about curing and healing and all that good stuff, usually that's kind of like the new age, whatchamajigger. You know what I'm saying here? It's like, it's not where the rubber meets the road. It's a very kind of fuzzy, soft, warm thing, and this is very hard and cold and real. It's actually, you cure it. And you know what you're doing, and you know exactly how the cure happened, and you can do it again tomorrow if the thing comes back, which often it does. And so this is something that you do for the rest of your life. And also, I guess you saw the kids, at this point you should have watched them. And they cure all that stuff, that kid was sick half the winter. He was, when he was 3, 4 years old, it goes to 25 below where they live. So, he got flus like you can't believe. And he just never got another flu after the age of about 4 or 5. It just was over. Never got sick, and his father just wouldn't do this, and his father would get sick all the time, and not him. He doesn't do it. It doesn't happen. No childhood. It's the end of childhood diseases. That's what it comes down to. So, my little asthma story, I have a kind of interesting story. I once developed asthma, and this was before I knew how to cure this way, this dependable, direct way. But I knew all about diet and stuff, and I was out. It was an exercise-induced asthma, and I had it for about a day and a half whenever I would exercise, So I know what asthma's like. It's like you're strangling. Your bronchioles and your lungs just clam up and you can't breathe. Like you can just suffocate, It's terrifying, absolutely terrifying. And I was scared to death. But I knew I had to push through this, and I said, I'm just going to keep running. And I kind of forced myself to breathe, and I was thinking about going to the doctor, and then I started thinking, what is it I can eat that would cure this? That was how I thought back in those days. And because I was into macrobiotics, and I thought to myself, okay, what looks like a lung? And all of a sudden, I got this picture of a cauliflower in my mind, and I said, a cauliflower looks like a lung. And I went and ate cauliflower, and I didn't realize, but cauliflower does not cure asthma, by the way. Just to clear that up, okay? This is not that weird, okay? That we think cauliflower cures asthma. So, God, but what I was doing, I didn't realize it at the time, but I went home and I made cauliflower. I happened to have some. I was doing an immunic action. You know, essentially, when we started curing things, you know, I was cure zero in the cure drive, okay? I cured two kinds of herpes. I'm Byard, hi. I don't think I introduced myself before. But I cured two kinds of herpes back in 1993, and haven't had an outbreak since then. And that was where I found out you could cure stuff. You know, I'm the person who discovered you could use this to cure stuff. And I'm also assuming you've done lesson number 1. You know what I'm talking about when I say this. You know what I'm talking about. And back when we first started doing it, we, you know, used to do things like say, well, I'm just going to, you know, I'm going to clap my hands and I'll cure it, you know. Later we realized you didn't have to do anything. You could cure it without doing anything like that. You know, I mean, I could have cured the asthma very easily without making the cauliflower and eating it, but by doing that, I was doing an immunic action, and I cured the cancer. I mean, the asthma. Sorry. I never had cancer. That's one story I haven't got to tell, although I did find cancer in my higher bodies when I started testing for them. See, that's the thing. When I say this is weird, you've got to bear in mind, you know, that you see all these cures, you know, in the tally. This weird thing is how these people cured that stuff. So you need to, like, remember that when I talk about things like higher bodies and stuff. You know, higher bodies would be warm, soft, and fuzzy if it wasn't that you don't get herpes outbreaks or your flu disappears in 5 minutes. When you take your flu, which isn't your flu, it's just flu, actually, you don't own it, out of your spiral body. And so I'm going to tell you that the basic way that you cure asthma is first you remove all the pathologies from all the bodies. And if you get this book, or you're, you know, this book has the lists in it, and they're also in the college, so you may be a member of the college, and so you'll have to join in order to learn how to cure the stuff and use the stuff. You get the list of bodies. Let's pretend I have it in this hand. The list of pathologies in this hand. You take all these pathologies out of all these bodies first. Okay, that's the first thing you do. The second thing you do, once you've done that, is you then take the asthma out of all the bodies. And you keep it out, like, forever. And you don't have asthma, open quote, outbreaks, close quote. So that's how you cure asthma. Report your cures in the poll, because the reports of the cures are precisely how you know that this isn't a warm, soft, fuzzy, but that you can actually cure your asthma with it. And if those people hadn't taken the trouble to report those cures, you know, you wouldn't know you could cure your asthma right now. So I would suggest that you reciprocate in kind by reporting your cures when you have them in the poll. So I will, with that, I will be, I'm sure, hearing from you.